Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Matthew Dickerson. Tech Talk. Sit back and relax. It's time to talk technology.
Welcome, shoppers. Welcome to the aisle where you'll find all the specials you're going to need. It's the aisle where you cannot go wrong. Welcome to Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Now, in today's episode, we're going to take a look at the latest innovative use of augmented reality goggles. It's bringing surgical procedures to people who may never have been able to access it before. That's pretty exciting news there. Now, for the Star Wars fan who has all the gear already, we've got a story on something from the Star Wars universe that you don't have yet. Better than a lightsaber that makes the noises. You're going to need this accessory as soon as possible. More of that later. And we'll see how the gremlins got into ChatGPT and what it means for the future there. Now, more of that later. Right now, we need our resident techspert to spill some of the details into the microphone. Howdy, Matt. How's your week been?
Very exciting. And I'm very excited to tell you a story, James, about one of our listeners. We've got lots of people out there that send bits and pieces of feedback from time to time.
It's nice of them to touch base.
It is. Very nice. If you want to send something, just ask at techtalk.digital. Nice and easy. Send an email through. Seems a bit old-fashioned, doesn't it, using email, but email is just so simple and across all devices and all the rest of it. So someone sent through an email and said that they'd used our dog story about the story we'd done about watching dog videos to keep your dog at ease.
Canine... video addicts.
That's the one, yeah. Rolled off the tongue beautifully. So, so this particular person does some dog walking for some friends around the neighbourhood, or I'm sure she gets paid for a bit of dog walking, a bit of money before she goes to school or uni, whatever she does, but sent through an email and said she'd been walking two dogs, and one of the dogs she knows needs a bit more walking than the other one. So she came back, brought the first one back to the home she lives in, and went off with the other one. But her flatmate rang and said, this dog's just whining and just missing being with its companion. And so she went, actually, maybe you should try this idea I heard about. Put a video on the TV of dogs just being dogs. Find a YouTube video and put it on.
Yeah, right.
And so they went, really? You sure? And so they did it. And sure enough, the dog just sat there and watched the dogs. It stopped its whimpering, stopped its moaning and groaning, and just watched dogs. And she was only gone for half an hour or so, I guess, and came back, and the dog was quite content and happy sitting there watching dog videos. So it absolutely works. In our extensive survey of one listener, with our sample space of one, absolutely, the story we told absolutely works. So, there you
so
go.
that trick that worked with my kids when I needed them to be quiet, I just put on a DVD for them.
Well, do you put on kid videos? You put on
I gave dog videos.
Yeah, well, you could do that as well.
Watching dogs.
Put videos on of other kids having fun and being looked after by their parents. And they're going,
stories read to them.
That's right. That's what my parents should be doing to me.
All right, let's get this show started today with our first story. Now, the life of a stockman is a pretty tough one. No surprises there. Managing a herd makes for some pretty long days stringing together to make for some very long weeks. Now, it's dusty and unforgiving, but the job has just got to get done. Now, previous efforts to employ technology have improved things, certainly, but they've also come at quite an expense in terms of building infrastructure on the property. But, Matt, it turns out that with a bit of satellite connectivity, you can watch over Betsy, Daisy and Buttercup and their 1,500 or so siblings, all from the comfort of your air-conditioned office.
Buttercup, that's your favourite name there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
If I have a cow, it'll be Buttercup.
If you've got a 1,500 head herd, you've got names for all of them.
For all of them, absolutely. It might be Buttercup 1, Buttercup 2, Buttercup 3. So it's interesting. If I go back maybe a decade or more, I used to spend a bit of time in the US at conferences, speak at a few conferences for companies like Microsoft and Kaseya, etc. And I used to watch those conferences as well. And there was all this wonderful technology they talk about on stage and all these wonderful things that were happening. And I'd get a bit excited about that. But then I'd realise that all of this technology relied on mainly two things. One, an unbelievable fast connection to the internet.
Yeah.
And two, a connection to the internet. And then I'd come back to Australia and I'd go to a regional location. I'd go, great, all those things sounded so wonderful on stage in LA or in Vegas, wherever we happen to be. But when you get to areas without great reception, it didn't work so well. And one of the things that we have talked about previously has been the ability to use collars on cattle to basically create a virtual fence. And the first image that comes to my mind is this cow going close to where its virtual fence is and getting electric shocks and then, oh, not going there. They don't do that, thankfully. They use sound and vibrations. I assume sound is maybe leading up to a vibration, but basically sound and vibration to let the cow know you're in the wrong spot, go back over this way. And the cows respond to it very well. So we've done some stories on that before, but to have that technology, as you mentioned, you've got to put your own infrastructure in.
Yeah.
Some of these cattle stations around Australia are larger than some countries around the world.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's not an exaggeration. That's like, they're almost, they are literally larger.
Yeah.
That's right. Some cattle stations run on one cow per 100 hectares. So if you've got a farm with a few hundred hectares, you think that's not a bad sized farm, but you might have 2 or 3 cattle. Now, this is in fairly arid locations in Australia, obviously far north Queensland, remote parts of WA, for example. And I've ridden a push bike across the Simpson Desert. And I remember it was a race across Simpson Desert. It was a crazy idea. Almost died on it, but that's another story altogether. But I remember being out there in the middle of nowhere, almost literally in the middle of nowhere, riding my push bike, and I looked up and I went, there's a cow. and I actually thought I was hallucinating. I thought, why is there a cow here? There's rocks and dirt and sand and there's a cow. But some farmers...
there's a cow.
That's right. Some farmers farm that area.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have many cows in those areas because there's not much for them to actually feed on. So if you've got a station of that size, then if you want to use virtual fencing, which makes sense because real fencing is pretty expensive and hard work to put in and maintain, then you need to put towers on your property because these are outside mobile phone reception. So again, in the laboratory, it all works fantastic. Oh, look at this. We've got this great collar, but it relies on some sort of connection. And then you take it out to these areas and there's no reception. So farms are putting in towers. They might have put in up to 50 towers, not normal mobile phone towers,
but
proprietary
enough.
towers. And they would work with that system only. And so you put that in, you'd run that, you go, wow, we put a lot of money in. And then that system changes or the frequency changes. Oh, no, we've got to upgrade our towers now. So it wasn't a great solution unless you were very large and really needed that. So the latest solution is actually, and I don't like saying this, but the Kiwis are quite clever with some of the software development. Oh, that
Folks,
hurts.
he's wincing.
That hurts to say that. Like I accept they beat us in the rugby. Every now and again they might have a cricket match they win, but we normally beat them in cricket. But software development, they seem to be very good, very innovative. And so a software developer, a hardware and software developer in New Zealand has come up with a solution now, which is out there in the field being used where the collars link to Starlink. They've done a deal with Starlink. So now forget about installing towers around your property. Forget about any infrastructure. You basically need to see the sky, and most cows can see the sky. They're out there roaming around. So that's all that's required. And then the farmer, and this is the exciting part, uses his computer, his or her computer or smartphone, and can change fences on the go. So sitting there back in the office, I think that particular paddock has been used enough. I might just change the fences here, and you change it. And then the cows learn, oh, hold on, I'm getting this little buzz, a little vibration on my neck, or I've got this annoying sound. I'll move over this way. And within usually half a day or a day, the cows have moved over to the new virtual paddock that's been created for them. So they've already done studies on the weight they carry, that the cows carry, basically the capacity of that land to support the cows is much greater because they can rest certain paddocks, they can regenerate paddocks, they can move them onto different paddocks. So already they're finding heavier cows, better for the land, better for the farmer. But it was all inspired by one particular Kiwi, the New Zealander who's created this, had farming parents, and he saw his parents working 80 hours, 90 hours a week, out in the paddock, out fixing fences, out changing gates so cows could go through, herding cattle. There's got to be a better way. Well, it's great to be out here on the land, but surely there's got to be some better way. And you can't, dairy farms in particular, you can't just go, no, feeling a bit sick today, I won't go and milk the cows. So you don't have a choice. You have to go do these things. So
it's just got to happen.
It has to. So having the ability to manage all this from your computer
and coming back to
exciting.
the fact that you said that some of these properties are bigger than countries. It's just there's a lot of land to worry about and a lot of space for those cows to wander. So
that's exactly right. Yeah, and often you'll see
it makes life easier. Huh?
Well, it does, and often you'll see herding being done in some of these areas where they will just say, we'll just put a fence around the whole outside and we'll just use helicopters when it's time to bring these cattle in. So that's expensive and obviously not great because you just don't really understand where your cows are. This way, you know where every Buttercup is, every Betsy is across the whole, and you can see it on your computer because you've got two-way communication between the collar and the satellite links above. So I think when they were creating low Earth orbit satellites, thinking, we'll just give people internet access, no one said this would be good for farmers with cows out there in the paddocks. But it is quite fascinating. But to give you an idea, already they've deployed 1 million smart collars over about 2,000 farms. So it's happening. It's real now.
And that's just the start, I reckon.
That's just the start, yeah. So very exciting.
I'm sure all cat lovers will freely acknowledge that while dogs have owners, cats have staff. You can try to show your cat who's boss, but if the cat wants to sit on your hands while you're trying to type on the keyboard, then like it or not, you're going to have to take a break from typing on the keyboard for a bit. It was this basic premise that became the inspiration for one app designer who wanted to help people manage their unregulated doom scrolling. Matt, when self-discipline fails, there's always a virtual tabby cat that'll decide when it's time for you to put the phone down.
You'd think it'd be a fait accompli, wouldn't you, that a cat's going to be the one that breaks our doom scrolling.
Yeah, and doesn't care what circumstances are.
Correct, that's right. So the average person, which is a bit scary, spends 2.5 hours per day on social media alone. Now, that's the average. That means there's some people out there doing a lot more. That's right.
Because you're not doing that much.
That's right. So I'm not doing that much, but I'm sure there's people out there doing much less than that.
So if you're doing less, there's got to be someone doing more, and probably far more.
Yeah. So there are concerns about screen addiction, stress, reduced productivity, all those people that are working from home still, how much time are they spending on social media? Because at least in the workplace, someone's
checking over your shoulder.
That's right.
Are you on Facebook again?
Which part of our job requires to be on Facebook for that long?
Yeah.
So, but at home, you can just do that. So a Japanese developer has created a browser extension. So it's on computers at this stage, but who knows, they might adapt it for mobile phones as well, for smartphones. But basically it's a browser extension and it's called Cat Gatekeeper. So go and look it up if you want. And all the idea here is that while you're browsing on a social media site, you set a time. It's default to 60 minutes, but you might change it to 30. You might change it to 90 minutes, whatever suits you. And after 60 minutes, you'll just have
You've got no choice.
You've got basically a lovely big orange tabby cat that comes on and sits on the screen, moves around a bit, basically wants attention.
You can probably still see a bit of the screen.
Correct, just to frustrate you. And after 5 minutes, it goes away. But it demands your attention for 5 minutes. The idea is that you just get some sort of trigger to go, okay, maybe I've been on here too long.
Yeah.
And whatever time you set up for, let's say you set it for 60 minutes, you go, what? Is that an hour? I've spent an hour on thank goodness that cat came along to break me away from this. Now, it's not high security. It's pretty easy to get around if you really want to get around it. It's not designed for you to say, I'm going to stop my kids doing more than 60 minutes because the kids will go, all you have to do is change tabs, or you have to just open it and close it, then have it open, then close it and open it again. It resets the timer. So
it's not an enforcer. It's a reminder.
Correct. It's really for people who think, I'm spending a bit too much time there, but I don't realise how much time I'm spending there. And this is really almost like setting an alarm. Give me an alarm in half an hour or an hour, and the alarm goes off. Wow, there's an hour gone. It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
But
when there's a cat involved, you can vent some frustration as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the cat is just a nice way to make it a bit more relatable. That's right.
All right, I'll get off my phone.
Yeah, that's right. You're responding to the cat because, as you say, we are just mere servants in the lives of cats.
Right.
So when the cat stands in the middle of the screen, you go, okay, I'm being told by the cat to get off here, so I better do it. So I thought as a nice way, but this is a bigger problem, this whole concept of how long we are spending.
Well, these apps are designed for people to use them, and if you're not using them, the app's not successful. So they've got hooks.
Yeah. I've had people that have said to me, I don't use my phone that much, I'm not on apps that much, and then you say, let's just have a look at the data on your phone, which is not lying, it's not made up, and people look at it and go, oh my gosh.
You just love to embarrass people, don't you?
Usually,
Well, you're not allowed to touch my phone.
That's fair.
Right, if you're a regular listener, you'll remember recent stories describing the development of robot marathon running. Well, the nightmare continues for us on the short track as well, as the Humanoid Robot Olympics adds another event to its program, breaking records in the sprint events. Now, Matt, when these robots finally turn on us and the apocalypse hits, anyone slower than Usain Bolt is in trouble. Am I right?
Well, Usain Bolt is only just in the clear at this stage.
But he's in the clear.
He's in the clear, that's right.
He's the only one on the planet that's going to escape.
That's it. So we've talked about, as you say, the half marathon record being beaten by a robot. We also talked about ping pong. So we've thrown away our ping pong tables now because robots have got that covered. One thing we still have covered at the highest level of human endeavour, which probably doesn't include the people in this room at this stage.
Try as I may.
Then Usain Bolt's average speed over the 100-metre world record is 10.44 metres per second. To get to kilometres an hour, just multiply that by 3.6. So it gives you an idea. That's over 36 kilometres an hour. That's not too bad just for a runner. Mind you, 100 metres, you can probably get to that sort of pace, near that pace for 200 metres, but that's about it. When you look at robots, we've now got Unitree's H1 robot, which is capable of doing 10.1 metres per second. So Usain's got it by 0.34. So not by much, but it's getting there. And we think, well, what's the point? Why have we got this and how have we gotten this? And so when I looked into it a bit further, I would say, as with so many of the things we talk about, this would have been not difficult, not tough, not expensive 10 years ago. It would have been impossible 10 years ago. 15 years ago, definitely. 5 years ago, maybe. So it's one of the things that we've got so much development that's happening in just the components we've got, the motors, the actuators, the batteries. One of the things that is really developed quite quickly is batteries.
Yeah.
So you've got all those things together and you get these developments. Now, some of these various robots and devices that are being developed are very much focused on one task. So the half marathon robot, that was great. It's not going to serve me a cup of coffee, but it can run a half marathon. The same with this robot. It's still humanoid. It's still bipedal. And if it was just speed we're after, then you put wheels on it because obviously we know we've got devices that go faster than 10.1 metres per second. But all of this development is around how do we push the limits of the humanoid style, the humanoid form, because we want humanoid robots to do things like serve me coffee.
Well, I will say one thing, though. I did watch the video. He runs funny. I say he, but it runs funny.
It runs funny, that's right.
So we've still got that in our favour. So if you're a good runner, you've probably got a good style about you as well. This robot,
yeah, right.
Cartoon.
So you reckon we still look better? You and I look better than this robot?
Yes. I look better running than this robot.
Excellent.
I'm going to put it down there.
Right, there we go. So, because some of the things that happen is that when researchers look at what we should be doing with robots, things like emu-inspired robots actually can run a bit better than human-inspired robots.
With the knees pointing the wrong way?
Yeah, that's right. So that's interesting. So, and that's where you get some different forms. We've talked about it before, that maybe the humanoid form is not the perfect form. It's good enough, but it's not perfect. But we still want that because we don't want to be a bit freaked out by something that comes and gives us a cup of coffee. The coffee's lovely, but look at the thing that served it to me. So we want that. So we've got a whole range of things that are happening with different robots and different robots being designed. And I've used the example before. You look at Formula One races, we don't get in cars and drive at 360 kilometres an hour.
No.
But developments in Formula One, lots of developments in Formula One, are now in our average cars that we drive around because that's the pinnacle. They're developing things at the pinnacle. And so developing robots that can run faster than Usain Bolt or break half marathon records or whatever we might try and get robots to do is all good for bringing it down to the average level and let all that development happen, all that competition happen, and then I can get a cup of coffee, but I can get it really quick as well.
You can get a quick cup of coffee, and maybe one day they'll pick up your laundry off the floor.
Maybe, and quickly. I think I worry about the robot bringing my cup of coffee at 10.1 metres per second is how much coffee would be left in the actual cup.
The way this current one runs, not much.
No, that's right.
Now, if you've been feeling the pinch as a result of the current fuel crisis, then you're in good company. It's hit the world pretty hard, no scooping headline there. But if you're listening to this from somewhere in the Western world, if your concern is unreasonably high prices at the Bowser, then spare a thought for developing countries who haven't even had the bargaining chips of their more wealthy neighbours. So governments of the small economies of the world are looking for a solution. And Matt, there are no surprises in their choice of fix-up.
No, and actually it's really interesting. When people talk about oil prices and petrol cars and EVs, there's a whole range of discussions that happen. And sometimes I hear some people even on conspiracy sites, talk about we need to have sovereignty. We need to have control over our own assets, our own controls in terms of developing power. We need to make sure that we're not relying on lots of other countries because they can sometimes say, we'll turn the switch off and then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So some of these countries, and we're talking about some countries across Latin America, just some of the countries that aren't particularly rich nations, and they're relying on imported fuel and they haven't got a lot of bargaining chips to go in the other direction. I know in Australia, for example, we've seen our Prime Minister out doing negotiations with other countries and it's been a two-way discussion.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we keep supplying gas to you or we keep supplying something to you that is of value to you and you keep supplying fuel to us. So that's a powerful position to be in. Some of these countries through, say, Latin America, Central America, don't necessarily have that same bargaining chip.
Or they had a deal that got broken as soon as someone, I'm just going to drop Australia in there, someone like Australia says, hey, I want to strike a new deal with you as a supplier.
Yeah.
And the little guy loses the deal.
Correct, yeah.
This is
Because
what we don't hear about on the news.
that's right. So we're focused on Australia, obviously, because everyone's selfish. So we go, oh, great, well done. We've got a guaranteed supply of fuel now, but someone had to miss out. If that fuel was diverted somewhere, then it might have been going from one of those countries. So some developments have been occurring, and you've got places like Costa Rica, Uruguay, Ethiopia. They've been very heavily focused on promoting EVs, not from an environmental perspective, not even so much from a cost perspective, although that's come more and more into it, but they've been actually running some campaigns to say, if we want to increase our energy sovereignty, then you should be using these vehicles. And some of these countries actually produce their power with hydropower. So they actually have got the ability to say, if we get cut off from the rest of the world, we're okay. We've got our own way of producing power, and that's much more flexible in terms of getting that power to somewhere else. You can keep running that power through the infrastructure you've built up. Now, I'm sure there's still work to be done on that infrastructure, but to give you an idea, Costa Rica, for example, 18% of all new car sales this year so far have been EVs. Now, that's triple the amount in America. And when you think of America, you think cheap fuel. Why would I bother about going to an EV? You might do it for good holistic reasons, good philosophical reasons, but you're not doing it because of your pocket because the price of fuel is still cheap. That may change, but smaller countries that don't have that same bargaining power as the US, are making the move, and they're making the move in a big way. The only minor issue I see with all of that is that a lot of these EVs they're buying are BYD, Geely, MG. All these cars are produced in China. So you want some sovereignty. You want to say, we're independent, and then China, can you ship us some more cars, please? So you are relying on one country still, but presumably once you've got them in your country, then you're not relying on them on an ongoing basis. So
we are seeing a major shift in the economy, aren't we?
We are.
And moving away from fossil fuels. And so these high flyers in the past are going to be looking for options. And I'd be surprised if they're not heavily invested in electric anyway.
Well, that's right. That would make sense. Some of those oil-rich nations, they have got the ability, you would think, to say anyone that's planning, anyone's got some vision in those oil-rich nations, we've dug up stuff for a long time, we've made a lot of money out of that.
Rode the wave for as long as we could.
Correct.
Yep.
Now, let's see how we can convert those dollars that we had from all that oil into something else. So maybe start producing electricity, maybe start producing EVs, a whole range of things they can do there. But that's not our problem. That's the problem for other nations to address.
Yeah.
But the other thing I found
it's so interesting that people have often said, it's just too expensive to go to fully electric. We can't do it. All the infrastructure and all that sort of stuff. Well, these small nations are going to just show us.
They're managing to work out a way to do it, I think.
And it makes sense too, particularly if they're small in land area as well. Yeah,
they can probably do it. And it probably lends itself to EVs because most of their travel is probably less distance. In Australia, we've got big distances to travel sometimes. But the other thing that I found fascinating was in surveys of people that bought EVs, they showed that 70% of the purchases were made primarily to save money. So as much as I know when I bought my first EV, it was let's do the right thing by the environment. This is the future. Let's move that way. Then most people are saying, that's lovely, but I want to save money. So now there's a reason for it.
It's killing two birds with one stone.
Well, it does. Whatever reason they go that way, I think it's still a good reason. But it's interesting that you have a major change in the world landscape and that suddenly drives EV sales. And you don't know. I think we've got a budget coming up in Australia at the moment. I think it would be very tricky having something like the economy of Australia or the world economy, and you say, we'll just make this change here, and then to see what other things that triggers, the classic old butterfly wings.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, change one thing somewhere and what else happened. So let's go and attack Iran, then all these other changes, I'm sure America didn't think they would increase Chinese EV sales by just going and attacking Iran. Maybe they did, who knows?
Yeah, there had to be some thought put into it, but you just wonder how much. But, okay.
You would hope. You would hope.
Eye surgery is a delicate business, to put it mildly. It's a business where, if you're in the market, you might want someone with a bit of experience guiding that sharp, pointy object towards your eye. But eye surgery is becoming more and more accessible for a broader section of the public, thanks to technology, allowing experts to join in from thousands of kilometres away. And the technology involved is an Apple Vision Pro, an augmented reality headset. Now, Matt, this throws the door open and gets experts on the job in any number of scenarios.
And I do, it does, but I do love the fact that we talk about often that some technology is created and there is a certain reason or focus from that developer or creator. And they blink and suddenly it's being used in a whole range of different ways. Yep. Back in February 2024, the Apple Vision Pro was launched. And it was launched as a mixed reality, augmented reality, a tool to basically play games with. The gaming market is huge. Yeah. So here's this really cool headset, because there are other headsets out there that people play games with, and Apple said we'll do it better. And they possibly did it better from a technology perspective, but at $5,400, it didn't really fly off the shelves because there were other alternatives that were significantly cheaper. And if I'm just playing a game, I want it to be good, but do I need it to be that good for that kind of money? Yeah. So it hasn't really been a big hit for Apple. And Apple do typically have premium products, but even that was too much for dedicated Apple people. But then some people said, how can we possibly use the technologies out there? And when you look at a surgeon, as soon as you say we're selling this to the surgical market, to the medical market, you add a couple of zeros on the end. It just seems the machine that goes bing is very expensive. Put that in an accountant's office and it's cheap photocopier. Put that same thing in a medical setting, then it's suddenly very expensive. Yeah. But one particular doctor, Dr. Eric Rosenberg, tested out an Apple Vision Pro doing cataract surgery. Now, cataract surgery is common, 20 million cataract surgeries around the world, a very simple procedure that's done over and over, and a miracle for people that have got an issue where they need the cataract or need cataract surgery. And so he tried using something that's only worth $5,000. It sounds expensive, but for medical, very cheap. There's a particular software package he put it with it called Scope XR, and two things happened. One, he could see what was happening with the operation with other information there. So he could see patient information, he could see extra details about what was happening. But the second thing that could happen is people could watch and learn what he was doing, seeing literally through the eyes of this particular surgeon. Yeah. We know we're going to have lots more cataract surgeries. We haven't got robots doing them yet. So are we going to have enough people to do these? Well, maybe the training wasn't there enough. But now with this sort of technology, you can watch it live. You can watch recorded surgeries. And, of course, when you're doing it yourself, you can have that help. Now, if something goes wrong in a surgery, which happens very rarely, you've also then got the ability to call in experts that might be next door, next city.
Across the other side of the planet.
Exactly right. Wow. So they could see exactly what you're seeing with all the details, and sitting there, you can basically tap into that expertise from anywhere in the world. The added bonus, of course, is you can take it home and play games with it when you finish the surgery.
Afterwards, have a go Mario Kart or something,
That's right. So it is good, though, when we see these consumer-focused products to actually help in medical settings. So it's quite fascinating.
All right, Matt, this next story comes with a bit of a disclaimer, I guess. A full confession here, this next story has got me stumped. In a bid to combat distractions in the classroom, Texas Instruments have developed a calculator. That is, a calculator. It's a calculator without the bells and whistles, fancy screens and internet connectivity. It's a calculator, Matt. hold on a tick, I've got a message on my pager to get something from the fax machine. We've gone back a couple of years here.
We're trying to go back a few years here. And I can remember calculators, and I'm sure you're very familiar with them, that are engineering calculators. So I remember friends at university.
You could draw graphs and things like that.
Yeah, that was studying engineering or some of the sciences would have this big purchase to make of a calculator worth hundreds of dollars. And you're thinking, why a calculator for that much? But then when you saw what it did, you go, wow, pretty impressive. Now, they've developed over the years because extra things get added onto stuff.
Yeah.
And so you've got these calculators
That's
now.
progress.
That's progress, that's right. But you've got these engineering calculators that have got Wi-Fi and they've got Bluetooth and they can load apps on them and they can probably even browse social media. They probably even have a cat come up on screen if you want to distract you from your social media.
It's got a phone.
It's kind of like that. So you can use all these things. And so there's a few issues with that. One is that you get distracted easily by all these things.
Yeah.
But the second part is that when you start to make all these devices incredibly smart, then when you're going through as an educator, teaching students in the classroom or at university, and you want them to think about things and actually use their brains and solve problems, when they've got access to all these different apps, they just go and ask some AI tool to give them the answer without any thought process. And I know you've said it before that one of the things that you do even with kids with a basic calculator, just think about the answer. Does it make sense? Don't just blindly follow and you've put an extra zero or put the decimal point in the wrong spot and you get the answer. You write that down without thinking about.
I was talking about that yesterday with classes.
There you go. Should it have been that many swimming pools or should it have only been one swimming pool worth? So that's fascinating. So Texas Instruments, who make engineering calculators, and they've been quite successful over the years, have brought out the TI-84 Evo. Now, I'm not doing a plug here, sort of cash or comment, but I just find it interesting that we are trying to go back, and they are saying this is a dumb calculator. Sure, it does all the engineering, it does graphs if you want it to, it'll do the things that you want out of a normal engineering calculator, but it doesn't have any external connectivity. It's got no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi.
So you say they've developed it. Did they just go back to 1995 and say, hey, look, this is one we developed earlier. Should we just make those again?
We've already got all the engineering tooling set up to just make this. We could trick people and say it's a new product. It's got Evo at the end.
Evo, so it's got to be something special
it's
about it.
evolved,
right,
maybe. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It does have a larger screen, so maybe they took the old innards
it
and
can't
said,
look
put a
like the
bigger
old
screen.
one because people just, it's just the old one.
That's right.
But,
I've got one of those in my drawer. So maybe.
But I do like the way that we're forcing people to think about what's happening, and it's not just a case of call on AI, get AI to do all of the thinking.
Yeah.
We do still need to do some problem solving as humans.
Some problem solving, but also I think we need to just, that whole concept
Understanding.
of understand it a bit, apply some practical common sense knowledge to it, do a bit of a common sense check of it and say, yeah, that makes sense, or no, that just seems way out of the ballpark.
I don't need to understand how my car works. But I do want a mechanic to understand how my car works when I send it there so that they can fix things when they go wrong.
Yeah.
So someone somewhere has to understand how these things work. And so if you're training to be an engineer, I think I'd like you to understand how to do trigonometry.
Yeah, that's right, the old-fashioned way. And then, sure, when you do it with AI, you go, that answer looks about right. I'm happy with that. I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I've even said when I've been playing around with some interest calculations for the kids when they're looking at houses and stuff, and I've actually asked AI to give me an answer, and I look at it and I go,
that just doesn't look right.
It's not quite right. It's close. And then I'll jump into Excel and I'll do the same calculation, and it'll be only maybe one decimal point out, or just like 57.23 instead of 57.1. And I go, but it's just simple mathematics. Like, I understand if you hallucinate about some facts that you've checked, but this is just mathematics. Surely, as an AI tool, and you point that out and they go, oh, I'm sorry, thanks for pointing that out.
Rounding error.
Rounding error. How much did you round? Anyway, there are products coming out like the TI-84 Evo, which are trying to say, let's get back to the basics. I don't think we're going back to an abacus, but I think we're just using our brains.
Is it worth me entertaining the idea of getting a pager and a fax machine?
The fax machine would be quaint, except you'd have to find someone else to send the fax to.
Yes.
That's got a fax
and
machine.
you're going to need to load some paper into it
That's
too.
Right. Where are you going to buy that paper from?
Okay, so this next story comes straight out of the world of Harry Potter, and it reads like Chapter 1. So our old friend ChatGPT, the one that has been serving us so well for the better part of the last 3 years, supporting our requests at the touch of a button, has been showing some, shall we say, personality. Matt, something has come over ChatGPT and it's been adding some fantasy flavour to its output. Have we got the gremlins out? And I mean literally, have we got the gremlins out?
That's right. So this is called unexpected emergent behaviour. So when the developers think...
That's not what you want your computers and your robots to have.
That's right. When developers think they'll add a feature or they'll make a change, they're expecting thing A to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes thing A happens and thing B, C, D, E, as far as you want to go, also happen as unexpected consequences, or as I said, unexpected emergent behaviour. If you see that term in computers, yes, be very concerned. So what ChatGPT developers did is they were trying to make this a bit more fun and a bit friendlier, so they added a feature that you could turn on or off called nerdy personality. And it came up with various quirky metaphors, and it repeated references to fantasy creatures like trolls and ogres and goblins and gremlins and a whole range of things. And that's fun if you turn on the feature of nerdy behaviour, nerdy personality. But it started to then corrupt or flow through to its entire behaviour. And so people were very concerned about information coming back that just was randomly mentioning goblins and gremlins and all sorts of different fantasy creatures. So how do you shut that down when you haven't really turned that on?
Why are you doing this to me?
So ChatGPT developers had to issue internal instructions that were very strict. I don't know how you're strict with ChatGPT. Don't do it again. Otherwise, I won't let you take over the world. I'm not
Please
sure.
stop talking about goblins and gremlins and trolls. And
That's right. So they had to say, don't mention any fantasy creatures unless specifically asked about them or unless specifically relevant. And it actually took a little bit of time for that to flow through. So, because again, it's this language model that's being built. It's generative. It's building itself as it's going. So you say, stop doing that, and then that will eventually flow through, but not immediately. So it took some time for that nerdy personality to be gone. Now, that feature is gone now, so you can't turn that on anymore because obviously it had all these unintended consequences. But this is the whole broad challenge in AI development, I think, that it's goblins and gremlins one day, but you just get your code or your instructions a little bit wrong, and suddenly you'll find references coming back that are completely different to what you want.
just as long as none of them say, and now it is time to exterminate you.
That would be an unexpected emergent behaviour.
Have you seen
definitely.
RoboCop, the original RoboCop movie, where that robot goes, you have 15 seconds to comply? So what? It's just, okay.
So I think this whole concept of getting personality and precision, balancing those two together is going to be an ongoing challenge.
Help. Okay, folks, who likes a boomer with an axe to grind? Well, clearly the viewing public of TikTok. TikTok. Sorry. I'm going to start again. The viewing public of TikTok. And who knew? One elderly community campaigner with a pet dislike for litter has made a series of short videos on the topic, and they seem to be hitting their mark on TikTok. Matt, no matter how many times I say this to myself, it still seems to make no sense. A boomer has stumbled into TikTok and has found the love.
Is an 87-year-old a boomer? Is he past
I reckon,
boomer?
yeah. No. So
Isn't
we're
there
talking
something
about
above
World War
boomer?
II generation. Yeah, they're born in the World War II.
Yeah, but
Baby boom, yeah?
I thought, we're baby boomers. That's right.
No, sorry, I'm Gen Xer. Speak for yourself. I think we're Gen Xers, Matt.
Right, okay. I'm always thinking that boomers, I thought there might have been an age that was above boomers. Because 87 sounds old. 87 sounds so old that you don't need to be categorised.
Well, okay, so it's 1939. That's a little bit before the baby boom. Okay, yeah, sorry.
yeah.
Pre-baby boomers.
Pre-baby boomer.
Okay, but still, they've hacked into TikTok.
They have.
And found the love.
So fascinating. So this particular gentleman's retired. Thomas Black's his name. Go and search for some videos if you like. And he's retired. And so one of the things that annoys him is litter. So he's decided to go out and just pick up litter. Fantastic. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you for your contribution to the environment around where you live. And he was initially pretty harsh on his local council, but then as he's out there collecting litter, he was realising that council workers are out there cleaning up and people are just throwing trash out as they walk along, they drive their car past. He said that the big thing that he saw a lot of was cigarette butts, and I've seen that as well. Someone would never think about throwing up a piece of paper in their hand, but cigarette butt, just that's where it goes, on the ground.
In the 90s, Central Station in Sydney, at the bus stop there, used to be a carpet. Yeah, it was like a licence. If I smoke, then I'm allowed to litter.
That's right. So, but if someone threw a bit of paper on the ground, don't you do that. But yeah. So cigarette butts is one thing, and you find also that he found the cigarette packets as well. So cigarette packets, cigarette butts, definitely on the ground a lot. But he went, okay, well, this is really not about a council trying to clean up. This is really about education. And so he talked to some people and they said, well, you need to be on TikTok.
He said, what? Buy myself a new watch.
That's right. I don't have TikTok. I don't know what to do. So he got some help and created some TikTok videos. He doesn't watch them on TikTok. He's still not on TikTok himself, but they just created this whole campaign that no one likes a tosser. And we've seen some of those campaigns in Australia as well.
Yeah.
It's a clever little play on the word tosser. And so the whole idea here is to just get that message across to younger audiences, to get that message across to maybe people just driving their cars for the first time. Beer cans was the other one. He found some younger people who would just throw beer cans, hopefully not the driver, but beer cans out of the car as they drove past. Yeah. And he's a bit of a cyclist as well. As he cycled around, he saw a lot of litter on roads as well and thought, it's terrible. Like, it's one of the reasons you cycle is so you can admire the landscape. You're not going so fast, you don't see the landscape, and the landscape is just litter. So, but it just goes to show, doesn't it, that you think maybe social media is for young people, but anyone that's got a young spirit or an adventurous mind or wants to try things different, then the world is open to them.
And quite clearly, if you want to speak to young people,
if you want to communicate with them, there's one place to do it, and that is social media, whether it be TikTok or I was almost going to say
where
Facebook.
Age doesn't matter.
Well, that's right, but even Facebook now, I don't think you communicate with young people on Facebook because that's such an old tool now.
That's for the boomers.
That's for the boomers, definitely.
Okay, now this might be the story that people have been waiting for. For the Star Wars fan that grew up but never really grew up, Matt has a story on the next must-have Star Wars accessory. From The Mandalorian, it's your very own Grogu's Pram, and it follows you everywhere. It'll carry your stuff for days. Perfect for bounty hunting in the Outer Rim, or shopping for groceries, or tagging you in the office. You'll need one. Tell them, Matt.
Well, we did a story last week on R2-D2, the droid from the original Star Wars 1977, doing a hologram projection. There's Princess Leia there. And this is a bit the same. We're getting a droid that it probably is not too far in difference in size to R2-D2. It's 48 centimetres high, probably a little bit shorter than R2-D2, 42 centimetres wide and 45 centimetres long. And that's lovely. And it almost is designed to act like a droid where it will just follow you around and be there ready for you. It doesn't zap things out of the sky. It doesn't.
But it can carry stuff.
It can carry stuff. And so I started thinking about, is there anything practical about this, or is it just for Star Wars fans? And so I started thinking, how would I use this? It's called a Grogu Gitta Mini, G-I-T-A Mini. So Gitta Mini sounds right. So it can carry about 9 kilograms of gear. Its battery goes for 7 hours. It can do 34 kilometres an hour, so not too bad. Almost keep up with Usain Bolt. And top speed, it weighs about 12.7 kilograms. So, I made a mistake there. It can travel 34 kilometres. It can't travel at 34 kilometres per hour. My apologies. Okay. It can travel at 9.7 kilometres per hour. So it can't.
Hopefully, it doesn't need to travel at 34 kilometres an hour. But
that's right. Yeah. So the whole concept here is that you might be sitting at home and go, I need something carried from one end of the house to the other. I'll get this thing out, I'll put it in there, and I'll get it to carry down there with its limit of 9 kilograms. I just don't know. That seems that practical. I could probably carry 9 kilograms from one end of the house to the other. It's got wheels.
Yeah, but what if you don't want to carry
That's
9
right.
kilograms?
And then I started thinking, okay, maybe I'm a parent wheeling a pram throughout my supermarket.
Yep.
And that's a bit of a hassle because my pram and my shopping trolley don't go that well together because that's a bit hard to handle. And then if I try and put my baby in the shopping trolley, it's not really great. I always worry when we put our kids in the shopping trolley, the little part at the front, because you think, oh, is that really the safe place for my child to be? Or you might have 2 kids in your pram, and so what do you do then? So I thought that might be more practical. So you bring out your little device, and it just follows you. As you walk around, it follows you. It's not too complicated. It just knows where you are. It says, I'm right behind you there. So you go around, and you've loaded up with 9 kilograms. You're shopping, you buy your milk and your bread and all that sort of thing, and you put it in there, and then you let it follow you down through the car park, and then you've got to lift the 12.7 kilograms of the device into the car. So I thought that's kind of half practical, but maybe not totally practical.
I think it's a license to dress up like a Mandalorian. And, like a bounty hunter from the outer rim. And you can just strut around the shopping centre.
At least...
with this thing following you, and people go, oh, yeah.
That guy's cool. At least we're getting somewhere with having some type of device that's vaguely practical for doing things that you might need to do. Yep. So it's not quite there I want it yet with robots, but it's kind of moving that way. It's got wheels, of course, as well. So even if you live near the shopping centre and you wanted to be able to walk down and have this follow you, you'd have to make sure there were ramps on every footpath and you could get there without having to go up or down a step, which might be a challenge, but we hope people have built cities like that for people that are in wheelchairs anyway. Yep. So maybe, actually, there's another one. I hadn't even thought about that. Someone in a wheelchair, this might be the practical solution for them.
There we go.
They can follow them around as they're doing their shopping, wherever they might be, and they've got to go places where only wheels can go, so this can follow them everywhere.
Or you can dress your toddler up like Grogu. And
put them in.
Let you know where they are. They're following you.
That's right.
They're not wandering.
That's a better use again. Look, give us another half an hour. We'll come up with a bunch of great uses for this.
I love this idea.
It's the first step. That's the exciting for me. It's the first step. We know we need robotics. We know we need people out there.
It starts off with a bit of cosplay and then it gets serious.
Well, I think that's the thing. It's expensive. It's US $2,800, so it's expensive. No. But for a Star Wars fan...
worth every cent.
That's absolutely right. So let them do it, keep the development happening, and then we'll finally get something that can pick up the washing in my house. It'll happen. It'll happen, James. I'll talk about it enough. Someone will get it for me, please.
Someone's listening. And that's the end of the road for this week. A couple more steps and we're going to crash through the barrier of this virtual chasm, and with little more to save us than a comical yikes sign. Thanks for another cracking Tech Talk, Matt.
My pleasure. And luckily we're under the hour, so we won't have an orange tabby cat come and annoy us.
There we
go. We're all under control.
Well done us. And thank you, listeners, for making Tech Talk part of your day today. Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson is recommended by 9 out of 10 ENT specialists as good for your ears, nose and throat, and so that's 3 from 3. Well done you for taking care of yourself. Keep up the good work. I'm your host, James Eddy, signing off for another week of our tidy little podcast. We hope that you'll join us again next week with a freshly unboxed episode. That gives you about 7 days or so to spread the good word and bring a few friends along for next time. Until then, take care, and we'll see you when we see you.